She stood at the edge of my gravel driveway, phone in hand, yelling like she owned the air itself. "I'm calling 911. You can't park that junk here." Her voice cracked through the quiet morning like a siren. I looked up from the tailgate of my truck, dusted off my jeans, and said calmly, "Ma'am, this is my ranch." But she wasn't listening. She never does. Her name's Karen, head of the so-called Neighborhood Preservation Committee. Translation: a woman who thinks every piece of land within a mile belongs to her. Within minutes, I saw flashing lights down the dirt road. 2 sheriff cruisers pulled up, tires grinding over the rocks. Karen ran toward them, waving her hands like she just caught a criminal. "That man's trespassing. He's dumping old cars here," she screamed, pointing at my Ford pickup. The deputy looked confused. "Ma'am, this looks like private property." She folded her arms, smug. "No, it's under the HOA's extended zone. He's violating multiple community codes." I couldn't help but laugh under my breath. She had no idea this ranch wasn't just private, it was federal registered land under my family name since 1957. My grandfather built the first barn here. I leaned against the truck and said, "Deputy, before you listen to her, maybe check the records." Karen spun toward me, furious. "Don't talk to them. You're not even allowed to be here." The deputy gave her a look. "Ma'am, do you have any documentation of this HOA zone?" She fumbled through her purse, pulling out a wrinkled paper with a logo she clearly printed herself. "Here, official notice." The other deputy raised an eyebrow. "This isn't even signed by a county clerk." Karen's voice dropped, but her arrogance didn't. "Look, I've been in charge of this neighborhood for years. We can't let strangers park rundown vehicles." "That's my truck," I interrupted. "And I'm not a stranger. I own this land." She turned to me slowly, lips curling into a fake smile. "Oh really? Then maybe you won't mind explaining that to the officers when they tow your car." The deputy looked uneasy, almost embarrassed for her. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "if this man owns the property, you might be the one trespassing." Her eyes twitched, the fake confidence slipping. "Excuse me." I took a small step closer, holding up my phone where the camera light blinked red. "You're on my land, yelling at me, and trying to file a false report." "I'm recording everything." For a second, she froze, then her face went pale. The sheriff's radio crackled, and one of them said, "Dispatch, can we confirm ownership on this address?" The silence stretched. You could hear the wind brushing through the grass, the way it does right before a storm. Then the radio replied, "Confirmed, property belongs to a Mr. Daniel Reeves." I just smiled. "That's me." Karen's mouth fell open. "That can't be right. I have documents." She stammered, but the deputy's tone hardened now. "Ma'am, step back, please. You may want to stop talking before this becomes trespassing." Her face turned red, her hand trembling as she lowered her phone. I could see her brain spinning, trying to claw her way out of the hole she'd just dug. And just when I thought it was over, she whispered, "You think this is done? You don't know who you're messing with." I just looked at her, calm as ever, and said, "That's funny. You don't either." She didn't know that tomorrow, I'd be the one filing the report. The next morning, I saw a white SUV stop right in front of my gate. Karen stepped out, sunglasses on, clipboard in hand, like she was on official duty. She started taking photos of my fence, my mailbox, even my truck's tires. I stood by the porch, coffee in hand, watching her like she was performing on a stage. "Morning, Karen," I said, trying not to grin. "You still think this is your land?" She didn't even glance at me. "Enjoy your sarcasm while you can. You'll be hearing from the HOA legal team soon." That made me laugh out loud. "The HOA legal team? You mean your friend Brenda who runs a Facebook page?" Her jaw tightened. "Don't push me, Daniel. I've gotten people removed from neighborhoods before." Before I could answer, the same sheriff truck from yesterday rolled up again. Deputy Carson stepped out and said, "Mr. Reeves, morning. Mind if I talk to you both for a second?" Karen turned instantly polite, pretending she was some model citizen. "Oh, Deputy, thank goodness you came. I was just documenting more violations. He has unregistered vehicles, broken fencing, and..." Carson raised a hand. "Ma'am, I've checked county records. This ranch doesn't fall under any HOA zone. Her face froze. That's impossible. It's listed under Section 4. Section 4, Carson interrupted, was dissolved 5 years ago when the land got bought by Mr. Reeves's family trust. You're on private land, ma'am. For the first time, Karen's voice shook. This isn't right. Someone changed those papers. Carson's expression turned serious. Actually, we found something else. We looked into your HOA complaints. Seems like none of your documents are legitimate. She blinked. What do you mean? Carson pulled out a folded paper from his vest. This HOA isn't registered anywhere in the state. The last valid board disbanded years ago. You've been operating under a fake organization. Karen's face drained of color. That's not true. I was given authority by Mr. Wilson, the former president. We talked to him, Carson said flatly. He said you forged his signature. I couldn't help but smirk a little. Karen, looks like your power trip's about to run out of gas. She turned to me, shaking. You planned this. You set me up. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. No, Karen, you did that yourself when you called 911 on a man standing on his own land. Carson gave her a warning look. Ma'am, we're not pressing charges yet, but if we find evidence of falsified documents or harassment, this could get serious. Karen crossed her arms, trying to regain control. You'll regret this, both of you. I have connections. Carson sighed. You might want to stop before those connections get you arrested. Then he turned to me. Mr. Reeves, sorry you've had to deal with this. We'll keep an eye out in case she tries anything else. They left, but as her SUV backed away, Karen rolled down the window and said something quiet enough only for me to hear. If you think that paper protects you, wait until you find what's buried under your land. My smile faded. What did you just say? But she sped off, dust swirling behind her. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in my head. Buried under your land, and by morning, I realized she might not have been bluffing. By sunrise, I was already out behind the barn with a shovel. The dirt was damp from last night's rain, the kind that sinks into your boots and sticks like glue. I didn't even know what I was looking for, maybe proof she was bluffing. But the way Karen said it wasn't just a threat. It sounded like a warning. After 2 hours of digging near the old oak line, my shovel hit something solid. Metal. I cleared the soil with my hands and found a rusted lockbox, heavy and covered in mud. My chest tightened. I hadn't seen anything like it before, and this ranch had been in my family for 3 generations. I dragged it up to the porch, grabbed my toolbox, and cracked the lock. Inside were papers, dozens of them, old property deeds, letters, and stamped maps. But one thing stopped me cold, a faded document labeled, Confidential, Federal Easement. Agreement, 1971. It had my grandfather's name on it, and below it, a government seal. My mind started racing. Why would a simple ranch have a federal easement file buried underground? Before I could process it, I heard tires crunching on the gravel again. Karen's SUV. I stood up, holding the folder in my hand. She stepped out slowly, her tone calmer this time. You found it, didn't you? I frowned. What the hell is this, Karen? Why would this be under my land? She took off her sunglasses, her voice low and sharp. Because your grandfather wasn't just a rancher. This land was leased by the government for a federal storage project. My husband worked with him back then. I stared at her, trying to make sense of it. Storage project. For what? She looked over her shoulder, making sure no one else was around. Chemical waste, she whispered. They buried it here before the land was released back to your family. No one was supposed to find out. I've been trying to get it cleaned before it becomes a lawsuit. I laughed bitterly. So you pretended to be the HOA police instead of just telling me the truth. Her voice cracked, almost trembling. You don't understand. My husband died because of this. I found the documents years ago. But no one believed me. The county buried the story, literally. Before I could answer, a familiar voice broke in. Morning, folks. It was Deputy Carson, pulling up with his cruiser. He saw the box, the papers, and the tension between us. What's going on here? I held up the document. Deputy, you might want to see this. He scanned the paper, his expression darkening. This seal's real, and if this is true, this land's been part of a federal environmental case for years. Karen took a step closer. I told you, I wasn't trying to harass him. I was trying to stop the contamination before it spreads. Carson looked between us, jaw tightening. You both need to come with me to the station. We're going to have to report this. I stared at Karen, realization sinking in. Maybe she wasn't just a control freak after all. Maybe she'd been fighting for something she couldn't say out loud. But as we drove away, I noticed something strange, her eyes in the rearview mirror. Calm, cold, like she'd just won something. And deep down, I felt it. Whatever was buried under this land wasn't just toxic waste. It was a secret worth killing for. At the sheriff's office, the air felt thick, the kind that makes you sweat even when you're sitting still. The documents were spread across the desk, and Deputy Carson was on the phone with someone from the State Environmental Division. I sat in silence, eyes fixed on that federal seal. Karen stood by the window, calm and strangely satisfied. When Carson hung up, his tone had changed. Daniel, this isn't just some old case. That land of yours, it's listed in a classified cleanup file. The government's been quietly monitoring the soil for decades. I blinked. Monitoring? For what exactly? He hesitated. The report says they stored volatile chemicals there. Stuff from a military project. But here's the twist. The federal lease ended early, and the cleanup never happened. Karen finally turned around. That's why I called the authorities that day. I wasn't trying to ruin you. I was trying to get them back here before the groundwater gets poisoned. I shook my head. You could have just told me. Her expression hardened. Would you have believed me, Daniel? Everyone thought I was crazy. The county ignored me. The wall laughed me out of meetings. I had to force someone to notice. Carson rubbed his temples. Well, you both got their attention now. The state's sending a federal team out there tomorrow. But something didn't sit right with me. The way she looked, it wasn't relief. It was victory. When Carson stepped outside to take another call, I leaned toward her. You've been waiting for this, haven't you? A thin smile crept across her face. You think I cared about the chemicals? Daniel, there's something else buried under your land. Something worth millions. I froze. What are you talking about? She lowered her voice, eyes glinting. During that same project, the military stored rare metal compounds, the kind used in missile guidance systems. When they left, they didn't recover all of it. I have proof. She opened her purse and showed a photo of a document, coordinates, serial codes, and a federal tag. You planned all this, I said slowly. The fake walk, the calls, the drama, just to get them to dig up my land legally. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You're sharp, Daniel, but not sharp enough. At that moment, Carson walked back in. The federal team's on the way, he said. Then he paused, eyeing her suspiciously. Karen, you'll need to stay available for questioning. This thing's about to get messy. She smiled faintly. Oh, I'll be around. The next day, the trucks came, big white ones with hazmat suits, scanners, and excavation gear. They started digging where I'd found the lockbox. Within an hour, one of the workers shouted. Everyone rushed over. Beneath the dirt lay a steel crate marked, Defense Storage, Restricted Access. Carson looked at me. Guess she wasn't lying. But before anyone could move closer, Karen stepped forward, clutching her phone. You can't open that without proper authorization, she said, her voice trembling but confident. This is protected federal property. Carson's radio buzzed. Sheriff Unit. Confirm, we've just received a warrant. Subject Karen Whitmore is wanted for impersonation of a federal environmental officer and obstruction of investigation. Her face went blank. What? Two deputies moved in, cuffing her as she shouted, You don't understand. That crate belongs to me. My husband died for it. Carson looked at her coldly. No, ma'am, that crate belongs to the United States government. As they took her away, she turned toward me, eyes burning. You think you won, Daniel. You just handed over a fortune you didn't even know you had. I didn't answer. I just watched as the trucks sealed the site and marked it as federal ground again. Later that evening, Carson handed me a report. The land's safe now. They'll compensate your family for the lease. I looked out at the horizon. The same field my grandfather built from nothing, and said quietly, all I ever wanted was peace on my own land. Carson nodded. Guess you finally got it. I watched the sun sink behind the barn, the soil turned over, the air clean again. And for the first time, the silence wasn't heavy. It was earned. Because no matter how many secrets were buried there, the truth had finally taken root. Viral line. She tried to bury the truth under my land, but I dug it up before it buried me.